I came down here for this, and I did want to address the board. I've been a member and chair of the board, and I realize it's tough serving on the board because it's not a job you do every day. And there's a whole lot to learn, and you do it every few years, and it's tough unless you've been there a while to remember it, all the rules and everything like that. So I appreciate the job y'all do. But what I don't understand, and the little I heard of Chet speaking, is why we didn't go ahead and go through with the 2 locations. My understanding is even FEMA's going to kick in money to help with that. And it seems like, I think everybody out here is doing as much as they can in a tight spot. But I just took a picture a minute ago, and the poor man next door that's running a business, he's probably losing a lot of business because people can't get in for lunch or stuff like that. And maybe even find parking. That should be a consideration. But if we had that one other spot that was required in Old Fort, and those people need to be able to get to the voting booth. They shouldn't have to be worried about putting another burden on the McDowell Transit and that sort of thing when we can have something close by there. Seems like I say, I think you're doing a good job with what you got to work with, but we're asking the DOT to change signal lights out there at Love's, and that's a long way away. And just different things like that we're asking other agencies to do, when the simple fact is we were supposed to have 2 voting sites for early voting. I think that was the best thing, and I heard Chet say 3 days a week, but I don't know why you wouldn't want to man it every day during the regular voting hours as this one. And I think a lot of people may get disenfranchised by driving down here and seeing the line, and then come back later and still see another line, and they just put it off and they don't get to vote. That's my thoughts. It would just seems like it would have been easier to follow the original plan and open the 2 sites. And the training part.
Can I address those questions
In the
since
training,
I dealt with it?
In the training part, I mean, we're talking about training more people behind the desk and that sort of thing, but training's not 2 or 3 days. I think it's a pretty short period. I don't want to say for sure what it is, but I thought it was like a half day or something for the training. Is that right, Dean? For early voting?
I don't know.
A half day is what I thought it was, but I can't, I could be wrong.
Can I address him regarding the early voting site in Old Fort?
Mm-hmm.
So it was not required, but the board did vote to have 2 early voting sites. The reason that the site in Old Fort was not utilized, so right after the disaster happened, I contacted the emergency management director, which was over Old Fort at that time. His advice was to me, as well as the town of Old Fort, that there was no water at the depot. The depot was going to be used by the railroad as well as the emergency management site for them to sleep. They were housed there. As of last week, they were still housed there. I'm not sure if they cleaned it out the depot or not. The depot was not available. So, let me finish. So, I went a step further. I asked the emergency manager at that time, and it wasn't Will, it was someone else that was brought in to take care of Old Fort, to find us another space in Old Fort that we could utilize. They suggested the Old Fort Senior Center. So we were on board with that. We were like, okay, we could do that. The Old Fort Senior Center is being used, it's been contracted out to be used by FEMA, so that we could not use that. The next site they suggested was the Old Fort Library. The Old Fort Library was flooded, so it's not available. The next site they suggested was the Old Fort Fire Department. The Old Fort Fire Department is being used as a fire department, and we don't have full access to that building. So there was nowhere else in Old Fort to hold that early voting site.
Correct. And I mean, I'm sure that's right. In fact, the senior center, the Hogan Senior Center there, would have been a good location because the bridge washed out just below Curtis Creek, it would have been difficult. And the next thing would be the roads going into Old Fort. I wouldn't try to send more traffic into Old Fort. They got enough to deal with.
And that's what we were told.
But Pleasant Gardens is right there, and also on the other side of the interstate, it doesn't have to be in the city of Old Fort, I don't think, but on the other side of the interstate, there are churches available and that sort of thing.
Well,
It could work.
Part of his time, I'll give him a couple more minutes.
Thank
Well,
you.
it's been at 5
But,
minutes.
I mean, I'll wrap it up real quick.
Okay.
There was many people that could have, I'm in the real estate business, I would have gladly made phone calls, to have found several sites to y'all to look at, to make a choice and see if they would have been acceptable. I just thought that would have been an easier way than all the other things we're having to do and adjust and stuff like that. But there again now, today is the 20th, so we're rapidly approaching the end of the early voting. I mean, it's going pretty quickly, and to credit this, maybe it will start leveling out, and you won't be getting 1,000 people a day, more like 600 or 700. I mean, I hope everybody votes, but they don't all have to vote early. But maybe that'll happen too.